one other thing. So later today, I will talk about a more advanced technique. So I won't show all the features that we included in MVC3, but I did want to talk about one other one, which is global action filters. So action filters are a way to use an attribute on your controller action method and have code that runs before and after your action method. The problem was, in the past, if you wanted something to run for every controller, you had to put it on every controller, and that was a real pain. So we added this ability to register global action filters, and our handle error attribute is one that we register by default. And the handle error attribute is the one that gives you the nice error page when you're not running in debug mode. One of the cool things, though, is that we now have this whole concept of filter providers, and I'll talk about this later, so that you can actually have you can implement a filter provider custom to you, the way you like to do these things. And you can have action filters come from anywhere, whether it be from the database or from some XML file, or like if you like to do a fluent interface, you could write your own filter provider. By default, we only have the attribute one and the simple one where you just add filters and we'll run them all. Okay. Oh. Let's see. Must have deleted a slide. Okay. So to recap, sorry, I must have deleted one of my slides, but to recap, in MVC3 we included Razor View Engine, we included NuGet, which is a package manager, and I'll have a talk on that later, so I won't show any of that today, right now. We added global filter providers, we added a dependency injection hook, we cleaned up the add view dialog, and we added extensibility for choosing your view engine, and we added the new project dialog, and we added the view bag and support for .NET 4 data annotation. So right now we're in the really early stages for the next version of MVC, and I don't have a roadmap to show you, but part of that will be hearing what you guys want to see in the next version of MVC. I can tell you that things that I'm looking at were like some of the trying to write applications that take advantage of like really rich internet client-driven experiences, kind of like the IE9 apps that they were showing off. How would you write those things in MVC? How would you build like a more modern web application for mobile devices? These are some of the things that we're going to look at in MVC4 to really tackle and really make that. My hope is that MVC4 will be the best platform for building HTML5 applications, mobile applications, and JavaScript applications on the web. So, are there any questions at this point? Yes. When do I plan to release MVC4 is the question. I don't know yet. We've got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of planning, so we don't yet have a date for that. The thing I can tell you is that it won't be. We tend to release on sort of a yearly cadence, although this last release in January was actually quite short compared to our previous releases. So it'll be roughly around a year or so from today is what I would say. So it won't be less than a year is what I'll tell you that. When I told our book publisher that we were going to release in January, they were freaking out because they like to have the books out for a good while before they start the next version. And we've heard from a lot of people, they like that we release early and we release often, but some people are not so happy about that because they feel like we keep randomizing them. So we're trying to figure out what a good cadence is, and in my mind a yearly cadence is kind of nice because every year spring comes and you can look forward to a new version of MVC. Thanks. Any other questions? Yes? So localization of the attributes of validation? Okay, great question. So the question is, how do we handle localization of validation attributes? So the way to do that now, and this is one thing I'm looking to improve because there's a lot that you have to do, right? So what you do is you say an error resource name equals and you provide us a key, like jugador, what is it? Okay, nombre required. Let's say that, nombre required. And then you specify an error message resource type equals type of resources. Now, I don't have that resources type, so I need to make sure that I do that. And the way I do that is I can go into here and add a new item. It's like a global resource. I always forget where to find this. There's another way you can do it too. Go to properties, resources, click that little link, and that's going to create resources, and I can say nombre required. Esta nombre es, how do you say required? Necesario? Requiendo? I couldn't hear that. Required. How about this? Required. Lo siento mucho. So, I believe that will do it. Now that added a resources, so I have to make sure that I got the right type. So this is resources, okay. Okay, good. Now there's one little trick here. By default, I think this, you notice here, this is internal. This really shouldn't be internal. If you leave it internal, there's a bug in data annotations, which might be fixed by .NET 4. Let's try this out. Let's see if this works, and if it doesn't work, then we'll know it wasn't fixed. But typically what I do is I go in and I make that public. So let's go to home. Oh, maybe we'll get lucky. And now it's localized. So the good news is whatever bug I used to run into has been fixed, so I don't have to, but typically what I would do is if I'm using older versions of MVC, I would make this public because it doesn't really harm anyone. But that's a great question. So I think I'm running out of time. I will be doing plenty of other sessions, so if you have more questions later, I'll make sure to have time in those sessions as well to answer questions. So thank you very much, and have a great day.